Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to episode 96 of Come Lose It with Matt Duncan. That's me, I'm your host, Matt Duncan. Hi, how are ya? Damn it. Didn't end up getting 2 in April. Started it off on the right foot, but then shit happens and time progresses. I had a busy work month, which I ain't complaining about. So I just couldn't get to it. And then I was going to do it on the last day of the month. I figured, hey, why not? You started the month. Let's end the month. But I've been not feeling great the last couple of days. Don't know what's going on. Don't know if we ate something. Both me and the wife are kind of going through some digestive issues since last night. We don't know what's going on. Felt a lot better today, but the last couple of days waking up have been pretty friggin' brutal. Pretty tired. Feel like I'm hungover when I haven't really been drinking at all. It's not a good feeling. Makes you feel old. But here we are. We're here, 96. I'm recording today on Tuesday, May the 2nd. And I'm going to try my best, all right, to get in that second one in May. We've had a big surge in numbers over the last month. Thank you very much to all the new listeners coming in. More than doubled our listens over the last month, and that is saying something, folks, because you know I don't promote this podcast, really. I don't really promote it. I leave a couple of breadcrumbs on my social media, but my social media ain't anything to be considered reaching people. It's definitely not. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of stuff is going on. There's a lot of tension in the air in this mid-spring time, you know? People have lost their verified checks on Twitter since the last time we recorded the podcast. The grandfathered in checkmark people are no longer getting their checks unless you're one of Elon's favorites or something. He's chosen a few that he wants to keep, so he's quote unquote paying for their blue checks. Yeah, right. He's just allowing them to keep their blue checks. It's so stupid. But the most people, and I really want to pour it out for the people in the Canadian film industry, the Canadian entertainment industry who were able to get those check marks and then had them taken away. Because let me tell you something, it's a lot less people up here, a lot harder to get famous enough to get those check marks, and now they mean nothing. Now any Dick and Bob can have one, and it doesn't matter anymore. It does not matter. Get me one of those gold checks, because I heard that those cost $1,000 a month. News sources and stuff, New York Times didn't want to pay it. They said it's $1,000 a month. Matthew McConaughey has one. Why does he have one? Is he paying $1,000 a month for his fucking check mark? I don't understand what's going on. Do people think Matthew McConaughey is a source of news? Have you seen him? He's high all the time. It's like between him and Joe Rogan, just two guys super high, having a good time and being wondering about the world too much, you know? We can't take these people seriously. Get rid of the gold check mark. But it does feel, you know, this podcast, you know, over the last year, ever since the Plugmaster General took over, I've been down on it. I said that the end is coming, and this is how I said it would happen, and it is happening, right? It's just nobody cares anymore. It doesn't have the same vibe. It's not fun anymore. It's those late stages of MySpace. That's where we're at. It'll still be there in some way, but I think eventually he's gonna be selling that and going bankrupt. And then who knows what's going to happen after that? Who's going to buy it at that bankruptcy price? I don't know. So the acting world is, just to give an update, I know in the last one I think I talked a little bit about it, but there is still a commercial lockout going on for commercial actors in Canada. Still can't believe that only the U.S. and Canada are the two countries that have union agreements for commercial actors. That is so wild to me. And they've got a British guy in right now, and he wants to bust the union up. He doesn't want actors, Canadian union actors, to be paid the rates that we are used to being paid. So he wants us to go to a non-union type of payment, and not even as good as them. Like, I just had an audition, and it's creating a lot of anger because it's not our union rates, and the union agreed to it, and they haven't been very vocal why they did, or that it was possibly just a one-off, but it was below non-union rates. And I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision. Was I going to stand with my fellow union people? And so I'm sure a lot of the union people auditioned for it, and that's fine. It technically was a union job, but I decided I wanted to be on the side of things that said that this is not okay, even if it's a one-off or whatever the fucking excuse was. I think it was a non-union job that ACTRA kind of convinced this one agency to bump up to union. So they're like, well, you gotta, the rates are here for non-union, so you're just gonna have to deal with it for this one. So I decided that I was feeling a little sick, and I backed out. I didn't do it. And, you know, I don't think I could have lived with it in my gut if I had taken it. I think that this continuance is a sham. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to spread misinformation here, but from a negotiating tactic, I think this is a sham. I think Scott Knox of the ICA, he's playing chess right now, and we got to be smart. So I think it's important for some of the union members to say, hey, this isn't right. This isn't right, and we can't just go and protest at H&R Block and Canadian Tire. That's not going to fucking do anything. That's not going to do it. People don't give a shit. They're not going to stop going to Canadian Tire for us, you know? So this is just one of the ways that you protest. So in a way, I guess I'm kind of striking a little bit. It's a bit of a strike. How's everybody feeling? How's your health? Do you have the new Arcturus pink eye yet? Have a friend who says, oh, I've got pink eye. I haven't heard of people getting pink eye. They're playing that commercial all the time about pink eye in Ontario. If you live in Ontario, if you watch TV ever, there's a pink eye commercial about searching the internet for answers, and the fucking pink eye ghost will get you. And it's getting people the pink eye out there. Everyone's farting on pillows, I guess. I don't know what's going on. Everyone's pissed and they're farting on pillows. But apparently this new COVID strain, pink eye seems to be one of these symptoms. So if you got pink eye, let your people know, because you probably have COVID. I don't know if these fucking tests work at all. I tested myself the other day because I just haven't been feeling that good the last couple of days. I went into a public setting, ate in a little crappy diner in Newmarket, Ontario, and there wasn't a mask on in there, and it was pretty tight. And you know, who knows? Who knows what I picked up there? Did go to IKEA, did wear a mask. Did wear a mask at the IKEA, felt good about it. I think it was one of 5 people out of 7,000 that I saw there with a mask on. Just kind of shows where we're at. Like, if it was the plague, if it was the bubonic plague, right, that killed millions of people in Europe all those years ago, do you think people would wear the mask if it was the bubonic plague? Do you think they would? Do you think they would care? Do you think they would just go, fuck it, I'm just gonna fucking fight this plague? So I've heard people are getting this plague and it goes away. No big deal. I've had tougher hangovers, you know? It seems to be kind of where we're at with COVID. And I'm following suit to it too. I'm not wearing a mask near as much as I am, but, you know, there are people around me in my life that might be a little immunocompromised, and I got to think of them. And it makes it a lot easier to make that fucking decision when you're doing it for someone else. But that's the whole problem we have here. Galen Weston, are you listening? Because I know you're a commercial actor. How are you feeling about the lockout? Galen Weston, you in those fucking yellow commercials. I can talk shit about you because none of us will get a chance to be in a President's Choice commercial. Not with you hogging all the screen time, sir. Galen Weston. Give that man a raise. He's working too hard on those sets. I hear he's only taking scale. On those commercials, that Galen Weston. And that's not fair, you know? Like, he's a union actor. If he's a union actor, he's a union actor. Okay, I want him to get what he deserves. And he's done a lot of those commercials about some fucking appetizer that tastes like shit or some no-name shit. A bunch of shit for you, Galen. I hope you're enjoying that raise a little bit. I hope it's taking a little bit of the stress off of your life, and I hope you can afford those food bills a little better now that you're making another 5 or 8 million or whatever the fuck it is, you know? So that's kind of where I've been at in this opening turd. You know, there's a lot of tension. The Writers Guild in America has gone on strike today, so that might affect my day job, the one thing that does keep me floating and going. That might be in trouble. That might be in trouble for any shows like Riverdale, per se, or stuff that is currently filming that will have to stop filming. You know, you can't do subtitles for something that hasn't been filmed. So we'll see how that goes. So far, first day off in a while, sweating a little bit, but that's just the nature of this job that I have. You never know what the hell's going on. It fucking sucks. It does.
Fitness update.
All right, let's get to the fitness update, and then don't you worry, we're going to get to the birthdays after the fitness update because there's some big ones today, and I think we should celebrate the people that are probably on strike right now, the people that aren't going to set, the people that bring us joy. But first, let's talk about the fitness update. Where am I at? Exercise has not been good over the last while. I've been taking it easy on my back because you know of the back problems that I've had over the last few months. I've gone to the chiropractor. The back is better. I cannot believe it. I thought I was going to have this pain forever. And I know it'll probably come back, but I'm stretching my lower legs a lot more because I think a lot of this back pain comes from not being loose in the hips. So you got to stretch those hips out. You got to stretch those quads out. Those hams, stretch them out. Those calves, stretch them out. Any lower body tightness seems to lock you up, and then they I don't know. It's like your lower back is that favorite teacher that everybody just can't get enough of. You go to that one teacher for answers. That's the one teacher you trust, and the lower back, it just gets tired. There's not much there. So it's really shouldn't be doing all the heavy lifting. So I've been doing some of the exercises and the stretching, and I got to go back for maybe another chiro next week. I haven't been in a couple weeks, but I will get some exercises that will apparently prevent me from having this kind of issue again. But I'm so happy that it feels better. And I really tested it last week, folks, because, I like to do car things. There's not a ton that I can do. I can pop off a side mirror or a door handle. I can change the oil. And then the big one, the one that's it's a little bit dangerous because they're pretty important, but it's a brake job. And I've never done it by myself, actually. And I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking do it because I know everything's gone wrong with it that can possibly happen. So I'm like, I'm going to fucking do it. I've watched these movies on YouTube, beautifully done to show you. It's only 4 bolts, folks. It's not like I'm doing brain surgery here. It's really just like you're taking 4 bolts out, you're taking the caliper off, you're fucking putting new pads on, you're cleaning everything up, you're re-greasing, and that's it. You wind the piston back in, which is pretty hard, but that's it. It's really not that hard of a job, but you always run into one of these fucking bolts that is stripped or it's seized or it's just fucking... On the one side, I was able to get through everything. I had a really problematic rear side. That was an issue, and I got it all done. I was so proud of myself. So I switched over to the other side, which I didn't really need to do because the pads weren't wearing as much. One of those fucking screws, man. One of those screws seized, and I put every ounce of energy from every muscle in my body into trying to get that screw out because I'm just starting to feel better now. And I did it on Thursday, and my hands, every part of my muscle in my legs, my butt, it was all like I did CrossFit, and it was like a good pain because it felt like a workout. It's kind of insane. That was all just from a static hold of me trying to crack this fucking bolt so that I can get the bracket off. Couldn't do it. I had to give up put the caliper back on with the old pads. And I have to, here's the thing that pisses me off. I don't want to talk too much. This is a fitness update, but I'm going to rant a little bit about fucking mechanics. Okay. So my last mechanic, who no longer is in business in Newmarket, put new calipers on the back of my car. Okay. Brand new calipers, but he used the old bolts, the old fucking mounting bolts. So there were 2 new ones and 2 old ones, and one of the old ones is what got seized. I can't get it off because it's a bit stripped, so I can't get enough leverage. So I have to take it in somewhere, get someone to crack it. I had to order new bolts. Hopefully they're the right ones. Gonna get the person to put them on, and then I'm gonna finish this fucking job. I'm gonna fucking finish it because I was so proud of myself on the other side, and I know I got everything else off on the problem side. So once I get this fucking thing cracked, new bolts on, it's going to be fine. I'm going to be able to do it. Only have to do one side, and hopefully I'm not in as much pain. I think it was just from that moment, but I've been feeling pretty fucked up. So I haven't walked really, haven't exercised. I've just kind of laid off because I was really worried about my back, and it seemed to be the one thing that wasn't hurting that much. And I was like, this is weird. And it just kind of felt like I was at the center of a fucking hurricane, and I didn't, the back fucking strongest wind was about to come, you know? So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm hoping to start exercising now a little bit more, get back into it, start doing the same old thing. And yeah, I'm going to have a better week this week. I'm going to have a better fucking May. Okay. And, so let's just move on. Let's move on to some happy birthdays. We got some big ones today. We got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know him. Wrestler, actor, former CFL player. He's 51. Rock's 51. Does that feel right? Does that feel right? Ellie Kemper is 43. The unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I think she was on The Office. That's really all I know her from. Oh, Wedding Crashers. Was she on that? I feel like she did that kind of first-ish, right? Kind of something like that. Yeah. Christine Baranski, the great Christine Baranski, an original of Whoville, 71 years old. 71, she looks great. Christine, wow. Another guy who looks great, Kumail Nanjiani, is 45. I think that's about right. Yeah, he's about 7 years older than me, something like that. The great Matt Berry is 49. Had the pleasure of acting with Matt Berry. I know we've talked about that in the past. Fortunately, nobody will ever see it, because it was cut. But did I share the screen with Matt Berry when he was 47? Yes, I did. And it was pretty surreal. It was pretty fucking surreal, that's all I'll say. Happy birthday, Matt Berry, you funny round man. Who else do we got here? Bruce Glover. Jesus, that's got to be Crispin Glover's dad. He's fucking terrifying, and he's 91. He's scary looking. Those Glovers, man. I don't know if I could do a family dinner with the Glovers. Like, that would be... Plates are upside down in that fucking house, probably, and everyone's using the opposite ends of forks and knives, and, you know... They keep saying the dinner's coming, and, like, there's a bunch of, like, servants that... just keep bringing out empty plates like it's fucking Lost Boys and fucking Hook. I don't know. I don't trust those fucking Glovers, man. I don't trust you. How fucking dare you, Crispin, try to get more money for fucking Back to the Future Part 2. I'm glad they used a fucking dummy or whatever and put him upside down. That was a tell for sure. Whoever played Crispin Glover's character, they just had him upside down, like hanging by his fucking, like a wedgie. It's fucking hilarious. Bing would have been 120 years old today. Bing Crosby, everybody. That's how long ago that time was. That's how old I'm getting. That Bing Crosby would have been 120 years old. You know, possible. There's people that are 120 years old. Maybe he could have been one of the oldest men. Could you imagine that crooner voice at 120? Boy, he was smoking the cigs like no one's business back then. The other thing that really happened, I'll say May 2nd, 97, kind of a big fucking moment for Mike Myers. It was on this day in 97, 26 years ago. Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery came out. Do you remember that? And Mike Myers was a star forever. And then I had an awkward situation with him, and then I shot a commercial with him, and that's the rest of his story. That's the rest.
Health news. News that is health related.
Okay, health news. Let's get to the health news. We are just rolling along here in episode 96. Okay, we're trying to get it in. I've got another podcast I have to do in an hour. So look, toot sweet. If you are a basketball fan, make sure you head over to the Confederacy of Dunks tomorrow on the Raptors Republic website or the Rapcast on your favorite podcatcher. We are back. We are doing bi-weekly episodes. Shout out to Confederacy of Dunks on the Rapcast. We're going to be talking about some fun playoff stuff. So some health news. I'm going to run through a couple. There's a couple that I don't really have links to because it just was it was definitely a health thought. And I read an article. It's in the Toronto Star. You can find it somewhere. But, you know, I think I've had radon fears before, and they started to brew again because of this article of where, if you don't know what radon is, it's like a type of radiation that comes from soil, and houses that are like a lot of new houses that are built don't ventilate this properly. If they're like too tight, you can have high levels of this radon in your house, and then it can lead to lung cancer, right? Because it's radiation. It's a naturally occurring thing, and it just evaporates into the air. But when it's closed in and it's, you know, in an unventilated home that's not drafty, well, you got a problem. So I don't think the house that we rent right now, we are upstairs, and it's old. You know, it's over 40 years old, so I'm not too worried about it. There's a part of me that wants to get a detector, but really, I think we're okay. And I'm just like trying to think of all the places that I've lived. You people in apartment buildings, you're okay. You don't have to worry at all. That's a plus about an apartment building. You live up on a third floor or something like that, don't really have to worry about radon. Like it's really, if you live in a fucking basement, if I were to live in a basement, I would for sure be testing for radon, for sure. But like, you know, people in Toronto living in these old fucking 100-year-old places, I'm pretty sure you're okay. I'm pretty sure it's drafty enough. The radon's getting out. But a lot of these new places, like my cousin's husband makes these places. I bet you they're radon hotspots. I don't know. Maybe he's putting in a radon mitigation system. It's really just a fan that blows the shit out through an exhaust pipe. That's really all it is. Just, you know, one of those fears. Just, I don't know, maybe if you're living in one of those new houses, because I know you folks buying houses are probably buying, you know, these new builds that are tight and airtight. You might want to get that checked because you might be giving yourself cancer. Anyway, got to do a little shout out for the Peloton company. It was brought to my attention by the vegan correspondent Dan Scarfone of the podcast. He said that they are now renting. So I checked it out. Peloton is renting bikes. If you want to rent a bike for $129, and that comes with a $250 fee for them to install and ship it. And then, yeah, $129, that includes having the access to the lessons, and there is some kind of buyout if you want to end up keeping it. I don't know how that works. I would imagine it's not like, you know, you rent for 2 years and then you get to keep it. It should just be rent to own if you ask me. But then that's just a payment plan, which they already offer, right? So I don't know exactly how it works. I know that if you want like a pair of shoes and a water bottle, it's going to cost you like closer to $200 a month. This is just the Peloton saga. It's just, I think eventually they won't have live classes anymore. This is my next prediction. Live classes will go away. They will have just taped ones that you can access, like on the Apple Fitness app. And that will be kind of the end. That'll be the end. They'll eventually go bankrupt from there. But yeah, I do think the live classes won't last. I think, I mean, take a look at their stocks, folks. Hopefully you didn't buy some Peloton stocks during the pandemic because they went from like $120 to $7. Not good. doesn't look good. People aren't investing in the company anymore. People are going back to the gyms. People want to get back in that sweat, that smell of the peeps and everything else, and go use the fucking pools and all the other crap. So yeah, Peloton, they're taking a hit. What they should think about doing is renting to gyms now. That's what you want to do. Sell them to gyms, rent them to gyms, get that rental money. That's always the thing that just keeps on going, right? Okay, so the one thing I want to talk about, and I will post a link to it, it's called carb cycling. So I was on fucking Instagram, and there's this fucking shredded guy. I've seen it. I get all the ads for this, obviously, because I must moan and groan all the time about weight loss and fitness. This guy, he's like, do this questionnaire for free and I'll send you this video and tell you like the 3 things you need to do. That takes forever. So I did it. So I'm just like, I'm curious. This guy's shredded. He's telling you not to do cardio. He's telling you you can still eat shit food sometimes. And when he finally got to it, I think his name was like V Shred. When he finally got to it, it was carb cycling. And really what carb cycling is switching up days where you eat a heavy amount of carbs and other days where you have moderate and other days where you're low carb. So instead of, not doing a low carb diet, you're just kind of going up and down. And apparently that's supposed to really help with weight loss. And it's kind of the new big thing that everybody's looking to in a diet frame of mind. And the days when you're not having high carbs, if you're having a low carb day, you're having more fat in your diet. Protein always kind of stays the same. Now, of course, with these things, the science isn't fully backing it yet, but I think when you think of your body like an engine, like as some kind of robot that needs different kinds of fuel, you always need to switch it up. You always need to switch things up. Doesn't matter if you're working out or eating. You can't get stuck in the same old thing or you won't see many changes. So I can see this working. I haven't tried the carb cycling yet. But yeah, it might be something to think about. I haven't fully given up on intermittent fasting, but I have fallen off with it. Just because life's been tough and it's hard you really got to be in the mind frame for it because you got 8 hours to eat. That's the easiest one too. You got 8 hours. You got to get everything in that 8 hours, and it can be tough. It can be fucking tough, folks. So that's where I'm at. Click the link. Read about carb cycling. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's for you. And if you want a workout plan, check out that V-Shred dude. He'll fucking take care of you. Okay, well, let's wrap this up with some other shit. And then we're going to go off. We're going to live our lives. I'm going to record this other podcast. And we're going to have a good time. Okay? So, in that other shit, let's talk about my team. Now, a couple years ago, I recorded for my wife's cottage after the Leafs lost in that 3-1 lead in the series. They lost, and it just was fucking harrowing. And I said that, it's good for sports, for fan bases like the Leaf fan base to get a win sometimes. And they just haven't had one. 19 years it's been since they won a round. Just a round. The first round, which is the easy one. It's the easiest one to win. It is. And it's been the hardest for them, obviously. So they finally did it. They beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Leafs are back, baby. And tonight is Game 1 against the Florida Panthers. The Bruins lost after a record season. A record-winning season. The Bruins are out. Failure. And it just kind of shows, man, that President's Trophy. You win that trophy if you have the best record, and it has haunted teams over the last 10 years. I think there's been 3 teams that have won over 60 wins in a season, and they've 2 playoff series wins split amongst them all. A President's Trophy winner hasn't won since the Chicago Blackhawks in 2013, which was the lockout year which was a shortened year. Yeah, it's friggin' crazy, man. The Leafs are back. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough series, but I think they can pull it out. I think the Leafs can take this in 6 again. I think they can beat the Florida Panthers, but make no mistake, the Florida Panthers were President's Trophy winners last year, and it is not uncommon for a President's Trophy winner to win it next year from when they've won it. That's happened a lot. So that is something we got to think of. We go, oh yeah, they were really good. They've made a couple changes, but they were really good last year. So it'll be interesting. Can't wait. But it's going to be less stress. I'm not betting against the Leafs in this series. I bet against them 3 times. I was trying to buy a win by losing money. That's when you know your fandom gets to a sick level. I paid $60 for the Leafs to win. When I should be behind them and just be betting on them all the time. But no, I was like, I can't. I'm either paying $20 and that's going to make me feel good to lose, or I'm going to leave with a little bit of money in my pocket because Tampa won. So I did that. And yeah, that's where we are. But I'm not going to keep doing it because that's really fucking up my winnings, folks. That is fucking up my winnings. Let's move on. I got to get into this book. I'm dying to. I'm stuck on a book right now that's a crap, like something you pick up at the fucking airport store before you get on your plane. It's so massive. It's some dumb book my dad gave me, and it's just not really my vibe to read like a 1,000-page fiction on the cartel. But I'm getting there, and I have a hard time starting 2 books. I can't have one going at the same time, even if they're very different. If one's fiction, one's nonfiction. But I've got this Matthew Perry book. I want to read his struggle. I do love a good biography, and I think I know what to expect. I've heard the highlights, and I will say I do have a copy with the Keanu jab. I do have the Keanu jab in my edition, so that's going to be worth money some days because Matthew Perry is taking out the Keanu jab. If you don't, if you're not on the level about this, Matthew Perry in his book kind of says like, why is Keanu alive when like all these great actors are dead, like River Phoenix and shit? I was like, whoa, you can't come for the internet's boyfriend, Matthew Perry. We barely like you. You are not relevant anymore. Friends ended almost 20 years ago. Like, don't come for the internet's boyfriend, Keanu Reeves. You sick bastard, you. So, future editions, they're not gonna have that in the Keanu jab, which really shows like, wow, he finally writes a memoir. He survives drug addiction, and the whole thing now is just about this couple of lines that he said about Keanu Reeves. That's Hollywood for you, folks. That's fucking Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, big news, very exciting. Finally went to the movies for my first time since 2019. First time. I thought that the last movie I saw was The Joker, but my wife corrected me. I took her to see Little Women on Christmas Day of 2019. So actually, that was my last movie, not The Joker. I kind of feel good about that because I did go see The Joker alone, and I look like someone who would join a convoy. So, yeah, that's not a great memory. It was a dark time in my life, and I wasn't going to do anything, but, it's just kind of the wrong movie to see when you're not feeling good. And we went and saw Renfield at this shitty little theater in Keswick. It used to be called the Gem. It's called something else now. And boy, was it ghetto. The projection was like off center. There was weird dots on the screen. Like someone was projecting one of those star projector lights on the screen. It was weird. Apparently they have to get a new projector. But it felt good to be back at the movies, eating some popcorn. Because that has been something I've done every year of my life since I was probably 6. And the pandemic took that from us, and the fears took it from us. There's only 6 people in there. I don't even know what to say about Renfield. It's ridiculous. Nicolas Cage, I love him. He's ridiculous. It's a dumb movie. I think the casting wasn't great, but it's fun and dumb. Fun and dumb. You can always count on Nicky Cage to give you some fun and dumb. So I'd say check it out. I'd say maybe wait till it streams somewhere, though. All right, guys, that's episode 96. We got through it, 35 minutes or so. Sorry for the delay. Thank you so much for the people who have been listening. It's always fun to see. So just make sure you go and you rate on that Apple. You give her a thumbs up on the Spotify. Keep your subscription going because when I got a new episode, they'll let you know. In solidarity, keep the fight going. Fuck Canadian Tire.